Capote, and we're back with what I hope is the final explanation video of the Learning How to Play Yu-Gi-Oh series. And then we're just going to do a trial game to show you guys how it sort of all works when we're actually putting it into practice. So, first, I'm going to go over what we're going to go over. So basically, we're just going to go over all the types of effect monsters as well as the effect types in the game. So first, we have normal effect monsters. So these are monsters like Stratos, which just, do effects. They just do them, and they're there. They have effect on the thing, but that's it. Then we have ritual monsters. Now, these don't have to have effect monsters, but the way ritual monsters work are you have to have the ritual monster in hand and the Machine Angel ritual, or not the Machine Angel, the ritual card in hand as well. So you have to meet the requirements of the ritual summon. So on the ritual card, it says this card can be used to ritual summon any Cyber Angel monster. You must also tribute monsters from the hand or field whose soul levels equal or exceed the level of the ritual monster you ritual summon. So on this card, it says you have to have levels equal or to or greater. So here, if we have, let's say, Stratos and Neos Alias in our hand or on the field, and we activate Machine Angel ritual, we can then bring out Izana. Now, one thing about ritual monsters is that if they're in the graveyard and they haven't been properly summoned, like summoned with their ritual spell, you can't bring them back from the graveyard, unlike other effect monsters. Which is a distinction extra deck monsters and ritual monsters for some reason have. Then the other type of main deck effect monster that isn't really an effect monster, is sort of also a normal monster, is a Gemini monster. So how Gemini monsters work is when you normal summon them first time, they are treated as a normal monster in hand, in graveyard, and on the field. But then when you summon them again, so like on your next turn, you can normal summon them again, and then they gain their effect. So here his effect is this card's name becomes Elemental Hero Neos while on the field. That's just his effect. That's just what he is. Yeah, that's basically it for Gemini monsters. That's all you need to know because they're bad and no one uses them. They're just say. Then the other type of main deck monster that you'll see is a Pendulum monster. Now Pendulum monsters have a really interesting mechanic. The pendulum scales that I showed you guys are where the pendulum monsters can go. So pendulum monsters are basically spell cards as well as monster cards. So all pendulum monsters have a spell effect, or maybe not a spell effect, it might just be blank, and a trap effect. So here is the spell effect as well. Here are the scales, and here are the monster effects. So the monster effect is something that you apply when it is in the monster zone as a monster, and the spell effect is something that you apply when it is in the pendulum zone that I showed you guys later. So I'll bring up an image of the pendulum zone right here, and so this is where the cards go. Then there's the pendulum summoning mechanic. Next, we have the types of effects. So I'm going to explain to you guys every type of monster effect there is in the game, and for that, I have a bunch of monsters here. First, we have a ignition effect. So here, Vision Hero Vion has an effect that says, once per turn, you can banish one hero monster in the graveyard and add one polymerization to our to your hand. So here we have the parts of the effect, which is you pay the cost, which is behind the semicolon. So you can banish one hero from your graveyard as cost, which means that you have to banish a card from your graveyard before using the effect, and even if the effect doesn't go through, the cost still happens, because you have to pay cost before activating an effect. That's just how Yu-Gi-Oh works, that's just how effects work. And then the effect is add one polymerization from your deck to your hand. So an ignition effect is something where the monster has to be on the field, and it has to be your main phase for you to use it. So when you summon this monster, it's on the field, it's the main phase, you can activate this effect, banish a hero monster, and add a polymerization. That's the effect, that's how ignition effects work. Next, we have trigger effects. So, but I'm gonna use Stratos because Stratos has been the poster boy for this video because I love him. So, when this card is normal summoned or special summoned, that is the cost. That means when this happens, you can activate one of these effects. That is the trigger. Another card that has this is also another one of my favorite cards, Darklaw. So his second effect is once per turn, if your opponent adds a card from the deck to your hand, except during the draw phase or the damage step, you can banish one random card from your opponent's hand. So the trigger or the condition that you have to meet is that your opponent adds a card from their deck to their hand, and then you activate that card. So that is what trigger effect means. This can activate during any point of the turn. It doesn't have to be in main phase. It's just when that happens, you can activate this. Then we have flip effect. This means that it goes from face down defense position to face up. It activates the flip effect. So when you normally you'd normal and then you'd flip it to activate this effect. So Needleworm, send top 5 cards from your opponent's deck to the graveyard. Morphing Jar, both players discard as many cards from possible from their hands. Then each player draws 5 cards, and that's just flip effects. They all have different effects. They all work in different ways. They're just the way they are. Then we have quick effects. So quick effects are cards like I showed you quick play spell cards, but on monsters, it just means that it says this little thing right here that says quick effect. I have Ghost Ogre, which was one of my favorite hand traps, which I'm going to explain in a little bit. I'll explain what a hand trap is. It's quick effect. When a monster active on the field activates its effect, or when a spell trap that is ready on the field activates its effect, that's the trigger, so it is a trigger effect, but it's also a quick effect, which means, so that means you can activate it during your turn at any point, or during your opponent's turn at any point. You can send this card from your field or to the graveyard, destroy that card on the field. You can only use this effect once per turn. So, basically like a quick play spell card that's attached to a monster, right? And now let's get into hand traps. Hand traps are basically monster effects that you can activate in your hand. So here, this one card, it says, this card is kind of a card from your hand to the graveyard. Now, there are several cards like this. There's Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. There's Ash Blossom Joyous Spring. There's Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion. There's Effect Veiler. And there's even a trap card called Infinite Impermanence here. These are all hand traps, and they're the most popular ones. There are others, because sometimes a deck has like a little archetype-specific hand trap. Like here we have Honest Neos, which is one of my favorites. Where is he? There he is. Honest Neos. It basically just boosts attack, but you can do it whenever, which is really cool. And yeah, those are hand traps. Okay, so Link Monsters. Link Monsters are a really special card of extra deck card. They're the newest type of extra deck card. So let's go over their parts. First, we have the name. Then we have the attribute. Then we have the link arrows. The link arrows are more important for link summoning. Then we have the requirement for summoning, the link rating, and the attack, as well as the effect, which is just where all the effect monsters go. So, to summon a link monster, because this is a link 2, you need 2 monsters to summon it that have to equal up to a link rating of 2. Here we have a different one. Here we have 2 monsters with different names, and we have a link 3 rating. So it has to be 2 monsters. One of them has to be a link 2 monster, because that's the only thing that has a link 2 rating. Then we have Appaloosa, which is a link 4, and it needs 2+ monsters with different names, except tokens, and it has question mark attack because its effect becomes its attack, and it's a link 4. So you need 2 more monsters that add up to link 4. Next, we have Xyz monsters. So Xyz monsters are these black cards over here. So let's go over the parts. First, we have the name, the attribute, the rank, not the level, because they're different things, the summoning requirement, the attack, and the defense, and the effect. To summon Xyz monsters, you have to overlay cards. So that means that you have to put one monster over the other that has the requirement. So here it's 2 level 4 monsters. So you have to have 2 level 4 monsters on the field, and then you have to place them on top of each other, and that is going to be your Xyz summon. Now, this needs 2 level 4 monsters, and something about Xyz monsters is that the rank is not a level. So these cards do not have a level, just like Link monsters, they don't have a level. This has a rank instead, which is a little bit different, but kind of the same thing. It's weird. Then we have Big Eye here, which needs 2 level 7 monsters, and it's a rank 7. And we have Zeus, but this is actually an example of an Xyz monster with an alternate summoning condition. So once per turn, if an Xyz monster battled this turn, you can also Xyz summon this card, so the name of this card, by using one Xyz monster you control as material. So any material, any Xyz monster, and transfer its materials to this card. So you can overlay Xyz monsters over Xyz monsters if you want, depending on the card. And now let's go into Synchro and Tuners. So Tuner monsters are basically just these guys. It just says Tuner on the card, and all you need to know is that you need these guys to summon Synchro monsters, and that's it. Then we have the Synchro monsters. The Synchro monsters are these white cards right here. The parts of a Synchro monster are the name, the level, the attribute, the summoning requirement, the effect, the attack, and the defense. So for summoning a Synchro monster, you need to have a tuner and a however many non-tuner monsters on the field whose levels add up to the level of this guy. As for fusion summoning, we have fusion summon's a little bit different. It is my favorite mechanic in the game. It's a little weird. To fusion summon, you need fusion cards in your hand. So you need to have either like one of the fusion cards in the game in your hand, and then you activate it, and depending on what the card says, you fuse two or more monsters to make the new monster. So what I'm gonna show this off in probably the explanation video or the final video, because I'm using my favorite deck, which is gonna be Heroes in it, and it uses fusions. So here we have fusion cards. You can see they're different. Here it just says fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as a fusion material. And here we have a really more complex one. Fusion summon one monster from your extra deck that mentions a Destiny Hero monster as material using monsters from your hand, deck, or deck as fusion material, but destroyed during the end phase of the next turn. Also, for the rest of this turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters except Dark Hero monsters, and you can only activate for one per turn. And the cards that you get off this are actually sometimes really powerful. So, for example, this is one of my favorite cards, Elemental Hero Tempest. It needs Elemental Hero Avian, Elemental Hero Sparkman, and Elemental Hero Bubbleman to make. So, first, let's go over before that, let's go over the parts of the fusion cards. So we have the name, the level, the attribute, the fusion requirement, the effect, the attack, and the defense. So the cards that this one needs to fusion summon are Elemental Hero Avian, Sparkman, and Bubbleman. So you need to have all these three cards on your field or in your hand or wherever it says on the card, the fusion card that you're using, and then you do whatever it says. So send them to the graveyard usually, and then you summon this out of your extra deck. Now, there is different different ways of summoning, or not different materials usually. Usually a fusion card that you're going to see is something like this, where it says 2 hero monsters with different attributes. So much simpler summoning condition, right? Or something like this. It can be it has to be special summoned with a certain card. So you summon this with Mass Change, and then you have a super powerful effect, because that's really hard to do because Mass Change isn't really that searchable in the deck, right? So that's going to be it for the video, actually. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned a little bit. I think it'll be a lot easier to understand if you watch all these videos and then watch the game that I'm going to play on the last game that I'm going to play later, the next video that I'm going to make. And I think that'll be a lot easier putting everything together and seeing it in action than if you just watch these videos and yeah. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching all of these. If you did, if you didn't, well, rough. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please please leave a like, maybe subscribe, and if you want, ring the notification bell for more videos. I'll see you guys later. I hope you have a great day.